Do you ever wonder if narcissists are human? Maybe they're not even aliens. You know what I'm saying? You don't know. So, today at queenbeing.com, we're going to talk about how narcissists are a little different than your average human. This is going to be interesting. Stay tuned. Hey survivors, it's Angie Atkinson. And you know what? Today I want to talk to you about something kind of interesting. It's kind of a different way to look at things. And I was speaking with a client this morning who is a freaking genius, let's be honest. She's literally a genius and she literally has done a significant amount of research and scientific various awesomenesses throughout, you know, human nature, let's say. She's a student of human nature. So she talked with me, and I swear, you guys, I literally took look, like 4 pages of notes. Look at this one here, and then a little bit on the back of that page, and then I have this page, and I have this page, and I have another page over here, all from this conversation with this client. Okay. So she says, there's a reason that narcissists are so A, addicted to us, and B, or the supply of us, and B, why we're addicted to them. It's all very fascinating. Okay. So it starts out with dopamine. All right. So we're going to talk about dopamine. Let's get started. What's it all about for a narcissist? It's about dopamine. And I'm going to explain to you what I'm talking about right now. Okay. So first we're going to define dopamine, okay? So what is it? Well, what does it do? How does it do it? Why do we care about it? All right. Well, look, this has been a controversial thing in neuroscience for like years, decades, okay? But there's a study from the UK a while back. Let me see when this study happened. 2009-ish. They determined that, of course, well, let's just talk about it. All right. So first of all, let me just say this. The word dopamine is going to mean different things to different people. Okay. Whether they're a drug addict or they have Parkinson's or they've, seen a Hollywood movie. It's all part of mainstream culture on a certain level. But it's also been, part of like more than 100,000 different research papers. Um, and it's still a controversial issue with neuroscientists. So we're just going to try to I'm just going to try to break it down to a very basic point for you here. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter. It is a chemical that is responsible for taking the signals in between your nerve cells and your neurons in your brain and, you know, making them connecting the neurons to the brain basically. But with that being said, very few of them actually make dopamine. So in a part of the brain that's called the substantia nigra, or nigra, uh, those are the parts, where the cells died when you have Parkinson's disease. Okay, others located in the VTA or ventral tegmental area are less defined, and they're the major source of this controversy and the reason that I'm kind of talking to you today. So when the dopamine neurons become activated, they release dopamine. Okay, so what is that all about? What does it have to do with narcissism, right? Well, one of the best ways to look at it is to think about how you're rewarded. Okay, so when you do something good or something good happens unexpectedly, you feel good. That's the dopamine coming in. Okay, the dopamine neurons are activated. So when people have abused drugs, you know, the drugs will cause the release of dopamine, and that's why it feels so good to people, and that's why they become so addicted to people. Okay, so knowing this, let me ask you a question. When we're talking about bad things, things that are negative in a person's life, you know, how do you know when something bad is going to happen? Does dopamine have anything to do with that? Well, here's the controversy surrounding dopamine, because not all of the neurons make dopamine, and so a lot of studies used to suggest that the sudden presentation of negative stuff in your life, like pain or stress or whatever, would cause the activations of certain neurons that in that same area, in the ventral tegmental area. But are those dopamine neutrons? Well, a 2004 study from the UK found that indicating that found that the dopamine neurons were universally inhibited by bad stuff. Okay, so basically, dopamine goes away when you're under stress, which is why you don't feel good. Okay, but most people also found that people would sometimes have those neurons become activated by negative stimuli. Okay, and so this is what my girl showed me. I'm sorry about the weird light on my camera. I don't know why it's doing that. You can see when I hold up something white, it changes the balance properly. So I don't know, maybe I need to have some other kind of lighting setup here, but I apologize for the weird color. Anyway, so what my client said to me was, okay, so the narcissists are addicted to dopamine. The dopamine is what the body needs during the hunt, and that's why narcissists cheat on you, because they become low on dopamine, and so they need to get that feeling again, you know. And now, interestingly enough, what she said, another thing she said that I found fascinating and worth writing down was that she said that narcissists are addicted to that, as we all are to a point, but they have these addictive personalities, and so um, you know, part of the reason they cheat again is because of the hunt during the chase, right? So in the love bombing phase, then we're dealing with the fact that they are addicted to dopamine, and why do people like to hunt? Well, it's our nature. Well, why do we like to? Why is it? Because what we like about the hunt is the chase. Okay, the chase is a lot of fun, and so for a narcissist who doesn't naturally easily produce dopamine because they don't really get super happy or surprised or anything very often, they need that external stimuli, the hunt. So during the love bombing phase, of course, the dopamine is all over the place, and that's why they keep starting that cycle over again. And that's why, sometimes when they're in a long-term relationship, they will go outside of the relationship in mini cycles. They'll do the love bombing, the devalue, the discard very quickly in these other relationships. But then they keep the home base, and I even asked the client, I said, why do you think that they get married? And she said, well, they need a home base. They need a mommy. They need a place that they can earn, a place that they can hunt from, a place that they can, they need a housekeeper. They need someone to have sex with when on demand, and they need someone to take care of them. But then they do these little mini cycles. So I found it all very fascinating. I'm sorry I'm sitting here talking to you from notes. I just wanted to put it all out here before I forgot all the details. But okay, so we talked before about adrenal fatigue, and this kind of all wraps up into that. Okay, so we're going to get a little further into it, a little deeper. Let's try to figure out, why is it so hard to live with a narcissist? Newsflash: narcissists are hard to live with. So we talked before about how a narcissist can be born, right? How does a narcissist get created? And one of the things that we discussed was early childhood traumas, right? So as they kind of go through their early childhood, and they experience that death by humiliation situation, where whether they've been bullied at school or they've been abused at home, as soon as they begin to right themselves, a narcissist may come into their lives, and or a bully or whatever, and continue to push them down further. We talked before about that as well. So in order to protect themselves, they find themselves building up this shell on the outside, sort of, that they don't really let anybody in, not even themselves, after a while, right? So however long it goes on, eventually they will sort of exhibit a certain kind of dysfunction in response to the teasing. So maybe they will deal with like a panic attack, or they'll almost hallucinate sometimes. It's kind of weird. Within an hour of the initial symptoms, it could even get worse, vomiting, etc. The torture, though, that they experience, whatever it is, whether it's a bully situation or a situation with a parent or whatever it is, it begins to basically create new pathways in your brain, new connections that are not conducive to normal love, normal trust, or even happiness. And so with each new stimulation, the pathways and the synapses that connect them will grow stronger, and the effects become more powerful. So in short, they become conditioned by whatever they consider to be torture as children. So each moment of this adversity and further adversity throughout their lives triggers negative sensations, and each of those negative sensations makes it's kind of like a muscle being used over and over again to move a weight, right? So as adversity piles on top of adversity, it piles on top of adversity, the narcissist's brain will develop in such a way that it produces an overwhelming bad feeling, to the point that it would literally it can literally destroy his ability to function at all. So as they grow older and become adults, the strengthening of the pathways will also enhance the issue. So that it will also enhance the sensitivity to the negative stimuli that had produced the effect in the first place. So this means that when you criticize them, they'll freak out on you. This means that if there's anything around them that doesn't kind of fit into their bubble of what makes them feel okay, they will very quickly get really negative, panicky, and to you on the outside that will appear to it will be the precursor to rage. So they might have a narcissistic injury and a narcissistic rage, and then at the same time. And what it all comes down to is the narcissist will have a deep desperation to make other people agree that the criticism is incorrect. And if you don't agree with that, then they'll freak out on you. If a narcissist can like bully or push everyone into saying, you know what, you're right, that criticism about you was not true, they will noticeably relax, and they will feel like, okay, my false self is okay, my false reality is upheld, I can continue to move forward. Okay, yeah, that's how that works. So just to put it in a simple way, the narcissist is addicted to dopamine. Dopamine is the stuff that your body makes when you're on the hunt, when you're going through a chase. So of course this leads me to the next thing, the false reality of the narcissist, right? We've talked about this a lot. Here's what it comes down to. When a narcissist has been tortured as a child, they obviously have a horrible reality to confront. This leads them to, when they're not able to fully escape from this stuff and they have to get right back into the environment with the bully or the parent or whatever, if they have contemplated if they're afraid of the future, if there's concern about what's happening, they will become overwrought and they will become unable to function normally. Okay, so as they're, as the brain starts to fire off all those little warning signals, right, their whole body will become filled with terror, or fear or concern or whatever of what lies on the other side of that wall, so to speak, the stimulus, the negative stuff that's going to happen. So then they are almost on like a type of emotional or brain, the brain's on high alert. It's like steroids, right? So they develop what we call like maybe a neurological workaround. So this way they sort of develop the ability to switch what they're actually seeing as reality, right? Whatever their brain perceives, well, they change it up so they can live with it, basically. And so under this stress, their brains sort of discover how they can actually control what they acknowledge as true, okay, as reality. So if it doesn't happen, if basically if they can believe to themselves that what happened to them didn't happen, they wouldn't get upset. They would be happy, and nothing would happen to them, right? But if the bad stuff goes away, they their brain is like, wait a minute, what's going on here, right? So they if things slow down in their lives, and they begin to try to live in reality, well, then their brains are kind of shocked by it. And so if they deny reality, the pain goes away and they get normalcy. So as children we seek that, but most people who are not narcissists will try to modify the reality around them. They'll try to change what's happening around them in order to make their life better. Whereas, so for example, let's say you're about to lose your job. If unless you get this big project done by tomorrow, you're going to lose your job. Well, you as a normal person might just go, "Oh my God," and all the little things in your brain will fire off, and you'll go, "I'm scared, but I've got to get this done." And so you're going to work really hard, and you're going to stay focused on that report. But a narcissist won't be able to do that. A narcissist will just shut down in that situation, and cause a lot of drama for themselves and everyone else involved. Okay, so basically what it all boils down to is they develop the ability to turn off the part of their brain that attaches them to reality, and then when they've turned that off, it helps them to avoid bad consequences. But this happens because it makes them experience their actions in a different way. It makes them experience the world in a different way. They're literally living in a fantasy, a false self. The one structure that gives them the chance to avoid those bad consequences, that would produce, that would change the behaviors before the results are produced, or before you're fired from your job or whatever. Um, you know, that's the thing that the narcissist does not have a whole lot of access to by the time they're adults, if that makes any sense. So I think in a way that this kind of disproves the idea that the entirety of narcissism is based on chemical imbalance. Sure, the narcissist moods are going to go up and down all over the place like a roller coaster, depending on what's happening in their lives, whether it's narcissistic injury or they're trying to manipulate people or whatever. We all know that we can definitely easily make a narcissist change their mood, go from being a nice guy to a shit guy or a girl, whatever. We can also be sure that if we were to say to a narcissist, "Hey, hey, 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 uh, you know, you suck, and here's all these bad things about you," well, of course they're going to react to us, and they're going to have a narcissistic injury and whatever. We're not allowed to doubt the narcissist's amazingness and fantastic stuff. The false self. If you question the false self, you're in trouble, my friend. So, what are you going to do? On the same token, okay, um, what people don't understand is that these reactive mood shifts really don't have a whole lot to do with body chemistry at all. Not to do with blood sugar levels, because those are cyclical, of course, and it is possible to reduce a narcissist to the state of narcissistic rage, depression, etc. at any moment, just by, you know, telling them, no matter how happy they are, if you give them a criticism, a narcissistic injury, they will change like that. Of course, the opposite is also true. I mean, you can also take a narcissist from despair to absolute mania if you are willing to, um, you know, hook them up with some good narcissistic supply. You know what I'm saying? So, the mood swings obviously are directly related to external events, whether or not you're aware of them at the time. Maybe there was some drama at work and you're getting the brunt of it, whatever. But that's why I think it isn't to do with chemical imbalances. Of course, there are other issues that may cause chemical imbalances and may increase one's propensity to narcissism. For example, diabetes can cause blood sugar issues, or high blood pressure could make you feel out of control sometimes. Things that aren't related to that shockingly, you can't necessarily just give a narcissist an antidepressant or a pill of any sort and expect them to get better, is my point. But if if their narcissistic tendencies are exacerbated by other conditions, syndromes, things like that, then the common cause, like a gene or something like that, could be involved. But maybe if you treat those things, the narcissistic tendencies would reduce. But again, the only way you're really going to find out is if the person has those things and goes and gets treated for them, because most people don't bother. If they're narcissists, they don't think anything's wrong with them, so they don't try to get treatment. Those who do are usually forced into it by a doctor, or a a legal issue, or even a spouse who is going to leave if they don't go to therapy with them or whatever. So, something to think about. So, what's my point? Let me get to it, shall I? Narcissists become addicted to the feeling, the dopamine, and the dopamine is like a drug to them. Um, but the way that they get it is through narcissistic supply because of all the crap that happened to them when they were younger, or whatever it was, whether it was a bully issue or a parent issue or whatever. Some bad stuff happened to them when they were kids, just like it did you and me, my friend. But instead of turning to change the world around them, they just kind of go flat. They stop feeling emotion. And so, whether this, as they move forward, when they're looking for dopamine or narcissistic supply, which also is in the form of a person, it doesn't matter whether supply is good or bad. What does matter to them is that it brings them the attention that they want, and that it's consistent, reliable, predictable, etc. Okay, so narcissistic supply in our field, in where what I'm talking about when I say narcissistic supply, then it's the people that the narcissist uses to get the attention, the approval, the adoration, admiration, etc. that they want. So the attention that they receive from their narcissistic supply is literally like a drug to them. It's literally, they need it for survival, you guys. Otherwise they will, you know, die. And I mean that metaphorically for the most part, but eventually, who knows, because they don't really take care of themselves sometimes. But their weak ego will depend on that in order to regulate what what they call self-esteem or self-worth, because they see themselves as being incredibly independent, incredibly separate from other people, different, better, etc. They can't deal with the idea that they need someone, because needing anyone would imply that there's a boundary to how powerful they are, or that they're not complete within themselves. So, with that being said, if their supply demonstrates independence, or say goes out and starts a new career and becomes able to take care of themselves, this makes the narcissist angry. Maybe it's because he or she is jealous of the supply. Maybe it's because they think that the supply should only be there to serve them. So when that happens, for example, let's just use the example of a stay-at-home mom who's married to a narcissist who decides, hey, I'm going to start my own business because I'm bored. Right? Her kids are in school. He won't let her get a job. She starts her own business. Suddenly she's bringing in enough money. She doesn't need him anymore. See, that's his concern. He needs to be needed because the only way for him to retain control over the people in his little narcissistic supply circle are, the only way for him to do that is to hold on to whatever he has that his supply or her supply doesn't have. So whatever the narcissist gives you is their hold over you. Does that make any sense? They don't do anything just because they're nice people. So of course, if they deviate from that position, then their supply, of course, if the supply deviates from the position of being in the role that the narcissist has defined for them, the little box they like to put them in, that's when the narcissist goes nuts and tries to ruin everything. So back to our stay-at-home mom situation, the narcissist would do anything in his power to ruin her business so that she can't be successful at all. Because, as it goes, the narcissist feels the need to be surrounded by people who are doing service for him or her in some way. And ironically, that makes them codependent on their supply, even though they're trying to be so incredibly independent. You feel me? So the pattern of behavior is driven by their addiction to supply, to being admired and respected. It literally controls their entire life. It controls everything they do, their actions, their deeds, their words. The source of supply doesn't even matter. As I've said repeatedly, it's about a warm body that's willing to do the service that they want. People are not seen as people by narcissists, or at least not equal to them. So, given a choice, they're going to pursue the best possible sources of supply. But of course, what does best supply mean? It means how the narcissist sees the supply in the first place. It's the narcissist perception that matters to the narcissist. So if they can get admiration from someone they consider superior to themselves, here's where it gets interesting. That's even better. So if they admire someone because of their, they're so smart, they're so knowledgeable, they're rich, whatever, position in society, celebrity, whatever, then those people will be brought into the circle of supply with a big thumbs up. But ironically, the narcissist would only respect those people if they were able to stay on that higher status, so to speak, higher status than the narcissist. So if the Narcissist gains that person's approval and admiration. Eventually they'll ingratiate themselves to that person. And quite honestly, they'll just vampire it up. They'll suck them dry if they can. Maybe this is how they want to move forward or whatever. But here's what I'm just going to wrap this back around to y'all. Okay, so what it all comes back to is this. Again, I've said this before, but the narcissistic supply is not a loser, is not someone who's not good enough. In fact, a lot of times a narcissist looks for someone who is better, smarter, better looking, has some quality that they don't have, someone they consider better than themselves. And when they find the person they consider better than themselves, their very first order of business is to suck them dry and take it out of them. So, if you found yourself with a narcissist, then the thing that you need to bring forth is the understanding that this is what it's all about. They think you're better than them, and that's why you're in it. That's it. What do you think? So, where does this leave you if you're the source of supply for the narcissist? Well, know this. If you reject the narcissist, if they think you're a sure thing, they're going to be shocked. They're going to be angry. They're not going to believe it. They're going to feel just outrageous about it. That's if they're an overt narcissist. They'll say to themselves, "How dare he or she not exist to boost my ego? How dare they? Away with them! They have to go. Wait, wait, wait! I'm sorry. Come right back." Because basically, what it comes down to is that they can't handle it. They can't handle it. Now, if the narcissist is more of a covert narcissist, well, they'll become outwardly depressed. They will be sad if even the slightest of rejection hits them, and eventually they will try to do something to suck you back in, to hoover you back in. Of course, this always is a hoovering thing. They're trying to bring you back closer to them. Now, covert narcissists will also attempt to mimic the behavior of you, their supply source. I think that, quite honestly, overt narcissists do the same thing because it's a combination of being envious of you and of kind of covering up their true selves, again, getting back with that false self. And, they will try to covertly use this to get close to you by acting like you, okay? Being interested in the same things you're interested in, all of this stuff. So, yeah. Now, could a narcissist become addicted to you as a person? Yeah, absolutely. And you'll notice that if you try to go no contact with a narcissist, they're going to come after you. And it may be in a week, it may be in a day, it may be in a month, but they're coming back. You're not going to just get clear of them after one try. As long as you continue that supply sources, continue to give them what they want, they are addicted. But if you stop the supply, then of course they're going to try to bring it back. That's how they are. But once the narcissist becomes sure that you're not going to supply them anymore, they're going to drop you, because that's when it's kind of like you're a battery to them, and if you don't have any more juice for them, what are they going to do? They're going to throw you away. So if you want to be free of a narcissist and you have become a primary source of supply, think of yourself as a battery. Go dead for a while. Do the gray rock thing. As soon as the narcissist realizes he or she can't put you back in the little slot to suck all your energy out of you because there's none left, they're out. That's the gray rock practice. All right, I've talked long enough today. I really want to talk to you guys also about why we become addicted to them, but I'll save that for another video. Okay? Have a wonderful day. Thanks for being part of my life and part of my day, and thanks for letting me be a part of yours. Before I go, let me remind you of a few things. Number one, queenbeing.com is my primary website, and that's where you can find information about narcissism, narcissistic abuse, and narcissistic abuse recovery. Just about everything there is free. Downloads, PDFs, videos, all this stuff, reports, articles, all the things you want, okay, for recovery. We've also got a brand new thing, Soul Staycation, which you can find at soulstaycation.com, and that's something I'm currently doing with you. So this is where you can get your body, get your life, get your house, your head in order before the holidays if you're lucky. If not, it doesn't matter, you can still do it. All right, soulstaycation.com. It's free to sign up. It's a 14-day DIY at-home vacation for your soul. Okay, and it includes a little bit of maintenance in the process, brightening things up, so to speak. All right. Also, you can get my books at booksangiewrote.com. You can get coaching with me personally, one-on-one, whether it's on the phone, through Skype, or in person, depending on where you live. at narcissisticabuserecovery.online. Now, all of these links are below in the description. All right. Again, happy to see you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of my life. And I will see you tomorrow with another video. Have a great day.